Right now for the crypto market, we are seeing a lot of green on the board here. Today we are seeing a rally for Bitcoin, for altcoins, and for the stock market, though it's not much of a rally. And the main reason that we are seeing today's rally is because the US dollar index is seeing a little bit of rejection on the daily at resistance. Kind of makes sense. US dollar index comes up to resistance, before hitting a new all-time high, or sorry, not a new all-time high, a new high, we get a little bit of rejection. That makes sense. Does this mean that the run for the US dollar index is over? In my opinion, absolutely not, guys. The US dollar index has the momentum. Look at this chart. This asset has momentum. And like I keep saying in all my videos, it's very dangerous to bet against an asset with momentum. If you somehow bet against an asset that has a ton of momentum and it works out, there's a lot of luck involved in that. Right now, the US dollar index is stealing the show. It's got momentum and it's near the high. It's near the recent high. And this is one of the biggest swings we've seen for the US dollar index since 2014. This is the monthly chart. This is absolutely huge. Is there any sign of an end to this run on the monthly? The weekly? Not really, in my opinion, not necessarily. It could end up just being some kind of ascending triangle and then a continued breakout eventually. So while the US dollar index is playing around at this resistance, we're seeing the stock market, the S&P, barely even get much of a move up, actually. It was trying to earlier today, and now we're rejecting right back down, actually. And the stock market, the S&P, is at a very key long-term resistance from the top. So what's going to happen next? We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today we're going to be talking about crypto and its connection to the global economics. We've got the Fed meeting coming up, the Mt.Gox Bitcoin release coming up. A lot of very important fundamental things for both stock market and crypto coming up soon. And we'll talk about today's price action as well. So today on social media, I noticed a lot of people got kind of excited for a tiny little move up. I guess it's really because the altcoins were kind of seeing some movement and people thought, oh, maybe we're going to bounce. But I went to Twitter and I said, Bitcoin is simply following the S&P today in a small move up. The S&P is still inside of a rejection move. So I'm not really impressed with what's happening, to be honest. Not really impressed. The stock market will decide where we go next. Guys, the stock market will decide where we go next. And then we have one of my, I think he's a long-term viewer, JT, posting this chart here saying, when in doubt, zoom out. Bitcoin is back at the 786 fib from his perspective here. He's basically saying we're at the bottom. And I have to sort of question that, right? Because what is important? If Bitcoin bounces here today or whatever, and 17.5 is the low and we just moon from here, is it because this chart was, accurate? Well, I would say probably not. It's likely because the Fed said something bullish, right? So fundamentals supersede charts right now, right? We can't just look at charts and make a conclusion because, Bitcoin did this last cycle and it's at the same place this cycle. Doesn't really seem to be working that way right now, guys. So if you look at actually this schedule here, Federal Reserve meeting calendar, we go down to August 23rd, that's today. But the next major event here that it shows that you can watch live is on the 26th. And this is showing, Fed Jerome Powell, Chairman Jerome Powell, 10 a.m. economic outlook speech, August 26th, 10 a.m. live. So that is kind of the next big thing here. And like I was just saying, if markets bounce from here, it's not because of any chart indicator. It's because they said something positive. It's all just a feather in the wind, and the Fed's mouth is the wind, right? The Fed is going to blow air and the market's going to move in a certain direction. That's how this goes, guys. So it's really just it's so difficult to predict unless you're a Fed insider what's going to happen next, right? difficult to predict. What we know is that the Fed is likely going to raise interest rates progressively, and at some point is going to slow down, but likely no slowdowns in the coming near future. So another thing is, this is actually getting reported by Wall Street Journal. The release of Bitcoin right here, the Mt.Gox creditors near payout, sparking fears of a Bitcoin price crash, being reported by Wall Street Journal. So this is quite a big event here. So it's unclear how many Bitcoins will actually hit the market. I think I've heard something like 80,000 Bitcoin. I'm not totally sure about the exact number or anything, but the price is up 3,500% since then. So these people are going to be sitting on nearly 4,000% gains when they get this back. And this is causing a lot of concern. People think they're just going to dump. And well, some of them probably will. I mean, it's almost guaranteed that some of them are going to sell. Some of them may just hold, right? I mean, they've held this long. Why not just continue to hold? Maybe some of them will have that idea. Some of them will just take the money and run, especially in this environment with stocks going down, crypto going down, things being uncertain. There is likely going to be some sellers that step in. So those are really the fundamental things to consider right now. The speech from the Fed, Mt.Gox, there is some uncertainty floating around currently. So really those fundamental events are going to be the main driving factor here. Charts are kind of less important. The charts are less important than the outcome of the fundamental events, right? If a whale just clicks a button, the price moves, okay? So if somebody gets a hold of a lot of Bitcoin from Mt.Gox and they just want to sell, there could be a big red day, who knows, right? But what we've seen every time Bitcoin has fallen below these RSI support lines on the daily, mind you, this is since the 69K top on the downtrend. We've seen many of these RSI uptrends get broken on the way down. One common theme about the ones we've seen so far is that when we get below the upward slope, or the RSI uptrend line, we break below it and we come down to eventually oversold territory on the daily RSI below 30. Here, fall to below 30. Bitcoin is currently now sitting below this RSI uptrend line, and we have not yet seen the price test oversold levels. So I suppose there is still room to complete this breakdown pattern, this sort of bearish continuation pattern, get lower prices and get the RSI into oversold levels. That is quite a possibility at this point. Ethereum looks a lot better than Bitcoin right now. Ethereum kind of just sitting, well, actually kind of like at a higher low here. Definitely appears to be a lot healthier than Bitcoin in the way that its price is positioned right now, but still Ethereum will follow the overall market. Now, the main thing I think that is the most important to watch is the US dollar index. Because again, it has momentum, guys. This is absolutely insane. The US dollar index is going parabolic. Anytime we try to break down, we just rally. And today the stock market saw a little bounce. So Bitcoin went up a little bit, and that's because we had a little rejection from the US dollar index. I don't think that this rejection right here is going to lead to some sort of major decline in the US dollar index. I don't think so, because again, if the Fed is going to progressively raise interest rates for the time being, well, that's going to create demand for the dollar. So until the Fed is openly saying, okay, we're going to pause this interest rate hike, we're just going to pause it for now, that's when we may see the decline in the dollar. For now, guys, I mean, it's probably just going to keep going up. These little rejections are kind of just hopium for the bulls. I think ultimately we're probably going to continue up until there's a clear sign of a breakdown, guys. I mean, there's no clear sign of a breakdown. There's no clear, like, we're way above the trend line for the US dollar index. And until we actually come down, break down, and, have a full momentum shift, well, the US dollar index is going to continue to have the momentum. And there's no sign necessarily of this ending. It's likely going to end in some sort of parabolic blow off top, is my guess, where we're going to see one day that the US dollar index is just going absolutely bananas, and there's going to be a lot of FOMO for cash. Stocks and assets are going to be hitting a major low, and that's actually going to be the optimal point where you would want to switch from cash back to risk on stocks, crypto, is when we see something like that, some sort of incredible blow off top for the US dollar index would actually be a sign to buy into the market again. But during that period, it's likely that we would see even more downside for stocks in crypto. Right now, the stock market is continuing this rejection right here. This is the weekly chart. Where it's Tuesday, middle of the week, we're just in the middle of a correction. Go to the daily chart. We're barely even getting a bounce today. Not much confidence there. US dollar index is kind of just consolidating at the high. So, until we actually get a breakdown for the US dollar index, I suppose the stock market could actually end up playing out some sort of trend down for the time being. And that, of course, will not be good for crypto. That's going to drive the prices of crypto down as well. But I think before we come to any conclusions, we got to wait for Powell to speak in 3 days on the 26th at 10 a.m. That's when things might become a little bit more clear. Though, of course, we got to wait till September to really know for sure. Same thing with Bitcoin and the RSI here. When you look at the S&P, whenever we break below this RSI moving average, we test to oversold levels. Break below the RSI moving average, test towards oversold levels, right? At least near them. We're still ways away from getting a full reset on the S&P daily RSI, right? So there is definitely some more downside that can occur. So I'm not really too impressed with any of the price action that's happening today. It doesn't really speak anything. It doesn't really say anything to me. It's just a bunch of noise. And this is, nothing really significant is taking place yet. Could Bitcoin have hit the bottom already? Yeah, it's possible. Again, it all depends on what the Fed says, what the Fed does, how the market reacts. I don't think any chart or any indicator is really going to be the thing that calls the bottom. It's going to be fundamentally driven, guys. It's going to be fundamentally driven. So it's not really about the charts right now. It's really not. There's a time for charts and there's a time when it's not the charts. And right now, I think it's just not the time for charts. Some people, I just went back to my homepage. Some people are pointing out the similarities between 2008 fractal with the S&P and what we're seeing now, that this just could be a lower high in a much longer term, larger downtrend. This is an interesting idea, though I don't necessarily totally subscribe to this idea, but it's interesting nonetheless. I've seen this idea floating around recently. If you guys haven't seen this video on the China collapse, I made a video yesterday about this. Kind of just an interesting video that I put some music to, a little dramatic or whatever, but just shows some of the fundamental risks happening globally that could result in maybe some more downside for the US. It's possible as well, right? If whatever happens in China is going to happen, whatever occurs over in China is likely going to affect us as well. And that crisis is still not solved. It's still not over. And I don't think that the global economic situation is just going to be done like that and we're off to the moon again and there's no more problems. I don't think so. We even saw, I think I saw today, the euro against the dollar going, we're going below for the euro, guys. The euro is, at least it was below $1 today. So this is also something that's driving up the demand for the dollar. Is the euros, there's a lot of uncertainty with the euro losing value. People are switching to USD. And I think the Fed knows this is happening and can probably capture a lot of the market by continuing to raise interest rates, continuing to get that demand back to the dollar, support the dollar, all those kinds of things. So I don't see the Fed stopping interest rate hikes anytime soon. And I don't see the US dollar dumping anytime soon. A little bit of rejection today, but it doesn't mean much. I think we'll probably continue up until we don't. It's an uptrend until it's not. The same thing goes for the US dollar. It's an uptrend until it's not. Still an uptrend. Betting against the asset with momentum is a risk, is risky. Can Bitcoin bounce in the short term? Sure. I'm not saying we can't bounce. Of course we can bounce, but there's just too much uncertainty for me to think that the worst is really over. It's such a difficult call, though. I'm actually more neutral than anything I'm more neutral than anything. I see, though I'm erring, I guess, a little bit more to the side of pessimism, a little bit more pessimistic of everything right now. But we will have to see what the Fed says, what happens with the release of the Mt.Gox Bitcoin. A lot of stuff to look forward to, or at least to watch. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Smash the like, subscribe to this channel. If you guys like this content, support it by joining Patreon or becoming a super follower on Twitter. Join the Patreon, get into my VIP Discord chat. Also, I do stake my Ethereum on Kraken, getting rewards on that every week. I also have been trading on BETTOGH, a US approved exchange, no KYC. You get thousands of dollars in rewards by using my link below. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next video.